Good afternoon. This is Susan Davison from Build It Green, and we want to welcome you to the Energy Upgrade California PG&E's Multifamily Pilot Program Orientation Webinar. We will be giving a presentation in the next few minutes. You'll be able to, if you're on the GoToWebinar, you'll be able to view the presentation. If you happen to be just in listen-only mode and you just dialed in on the audio, we will actually be sending out an email after, in the next day or two, that will contain a copy of the presentation as well as the audio recording. And then we also will be posting this orientation webinar on our webpage. That information will be listed at the end of the PowerPoint presentation, and which you can go back and listen to this webinar, and you can also actually look at the presentation itself. So if you would hold for the next few minutes while we wait till some additional participants actually call in and get their GoToWebinar logged in, and we'll start in just a couple minutes. Thanks. We want to welcome you to the PG&E's Multifamily Pilot Program. This is the orientation webinar, and we are waiting just a moment or two more for any additional participants to log in and to get their audio up and working. And so we just want to say welcome to the webinar and hold on just for a moment or two more, and then we'll start the webinar. Thank you.
Thank you to all who are on the phone. Please continue to wait while more registrants sign in to go to webinar. We will start the webinar shortly.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Energy Upgrade California's Multifamily Pilot Program Orientation Webinar. And we want to welcome you and say thank you for spending an hour or two with us today. We're going to do a PowerPoint presentation that walks you through the program, talks about the different pieces of the program structure, the process, and then at the very end we'll have time for question and answer session. If you have additional questions afterwards, please feel free to email us. Our contact information will be listed at the end of the PowerPoint. So we start today with the agenda. We're going to give you an overview, talk about the application process, talk about the contractor and rater participation, how you can participate if you're either a contractor or a rater, and then how to actually access the documents that we talk about, how to access Build It Green, and how to access the program itself too. So we do want to give you a few specific details regarding the assessment protocols. We want to talk about the CAS testing. This is a pilot program, and so the program itself for this multifamily pilot is 500 units for 2013. The program will go for at least 2 years. So in 2014, the program will actually roll out into it will go from a pilot to a full program rollout. And so we'd like to let you know that the part of the protocols, the reason why this is a pilot is actually to learn about the protocols, to fine-tune the testing, and to actually to do lessons learned and create a program that actually works well for the industry and works well for the contractors and the raters. And so we do want to let you know that there are some pieces or protocols that are actually not in place and will be worked out in the next year if you participate in the program, and that the handbook and the full program rollout will be fine-tuned in phase 2, which is late this fall, and then the total structure of the program itself and the fine-tuning of the final incentives also will be established in 2014. We also want to let you know that attendance in this webinar does not guarantee you participation in the program itself. There are specific qualifications and licensing requirements if you're a contractor to participate, and there are specific requirements if you're a rater, and we'll talk about those as we go further today. So the program overview. Energy Upgrade California, for those of you that are new to the program, is actually the statewide umbrella. It is a one-stop shop for the property owners. You can find quite a bit of information at www.energyupgradecalifornia.org. And the Energy Upgrade California has quite a few goals and roles, and it consolidates information for rebates. It provides a place for you to go when you're looking for information on energy upgrades. It has participant and rater listings, and actually facilitates the program for those of you that have the skill set, and this is workforce development and offers you training opportunities to expand your business. It's both a public homeowner website as well as a tool that you can use as a contractor and a rater. The multifamily pilot program itself is actually going to be 3 phases. The program was actually kicked off in February, and the phase 1 is actually 500 units. The number of units is actually small for the pilot program because PG&E wants to use this as a learning tool. The intent is to actually bring into the program different types of projects, everything from a 3-story garden to a high-rise to a 1920s building to a 1980s building, and actually look at the different types of buildings that are that can be retrofitted in California, as well as to provide quite a bit of hands-on mentoring, feedback loops with the property owners, feedback loops with the contractors and raters as they move through the building, and taking that information and actually rolling it into the full program rollout. So phase 2 is actually identifying the lessons learned. That will happen at the end of this year, 2013, and start early into 2014, and will actually inform phase 3, which is the PG&E territory-wide program rollout, which will occur at the latest in mid-2014. The pilot program goals and objectives is actually to promote long-term benefits for energy efficiency upgrades in multifamily buildings, for us to be able to actually leverage the assessments and what we're learning in the building, and actually to identify the correct service measures and how do you walk through a retrofit in different types of buildings. And then also it's also a tool actually for the property owners to allow the property owners to access information, to make informed decisions, to work with a rater and contractor in moving through the building and deciding what the appropriate scope of work is for that specific building, and also what the needs of the property owner are, and also to maximize energy reductions. At the end of the day, this is a whole building program, not a single rebate program. The PG&E is structuring the pilot so that the program can actually look for a range of different building types and configurations. Our intent is to understand the costs and how the building owner makes decisions based upon cost and return on investment, and allow the rater and contractor to identify the cost-effective measures that are appropriate for the building, and how does the rater and contractor program itself actually support the pilot, and how does it function in rolling out the phase 3 of the program. PG&E also intends to use a single point of contact to optimize the property owner access and the rater and contractor access to understand the resources that are available at PG&E. PG&E actually has hundreds of rebates, different types of rebates, from single-family rebates to the very complex whole house advanced program. And the single point of contact at PG&E will allow the rater or the property owner to understand the different types of rebates available for their specific property. How do you access those rebates, and how do you actually move through and time it appropriately, and also tie it into the financing that is almost always necessary for most building owners to move forward in the project. The goal is also, like we said, to integrate with existing programs over at PG&E. There's the ESAP, the MIDI program, the MAFIR program. The intent of this pilot also is to coordinate with the Bay Area Regional Energy Network, or the BayREN, which will be offering multifamily pilot program this summer at the latest. So to allow you as a contractor or rater to actually coordinate and understand how these programs fit together. And then the goal of this pilot is also to inform and actually to take the lessons learned for the 2014 full program rollout. Finally, due to the complexity of a multifamily building and the CAS testing and the safety involved in keeping the tenant and the property owner safe, we will fine-tune the combustion safety protocols, and so that when we go to the full rollout, the contractors and raters have clarity about the protocols in place for the program. So the PG&E's expected outcomes, 10 to 20% of more modeled energy savings. We'll talk a little bit later about the incentives and how that ties into the base of 10% energy savings. PG&E wants to actually incentivize the rater and the contractor and the property owner to actually work towards a broader suite of measures. This is not a single rebate program. This is a whole building approach. And so how do you actually look at the building as a system and write a scope of work that creates or provides the property owner with the correct information to make a decision correct for their building. PG&E wants to gain a better understanding of combustion safety protocols and wants to use this for 2014. So the program itself, PG&E is actually the program manager. Build It Green is the program implementer, or what we call the third-party implementer. And then EGIA actually will help you with the enrollment process and the incentive or the rebate process for the property owner. These are the same individuals. For those of you that are currently in the EUC Whole House program with PG&E, these are the same group of individuals and organizations that you've worked with for the last couple of years, and so your conversations and your communication will be seamless. So the pilot program structure itself. So the program, for a building to be eligible, the building must receive PG&E gas and electric services. So the building must be 100% PG&E fuel to participate in the pilot. If the building is provided with a fuel from SoCal Gas or MUD or somebody else, that building is not actually eligible in the pilot, but it will be potentially eligible in the full program rollout. At the present moment in time, it is not for the next year. Each building has to have at least 5 units. That's 5 units and plus. Anybody who has a multifamily building that has 2 to 4 units, that still qualifies under the PG&E Whole House Rebate Program, single family program. And so every building to be accepted into the pilot must be 5 units or more. We've had some questions in the last month about whether multiple units, let's say 40 units that are in a development, but they're all 2 to 4 units, that type of project would still qualify under the single family program and not the pilot program. Other requirements are there's no propane within the combustion zone. Affordable and market rate properties are eligible. There are different types of rebate structures that the SPOC will bring to the table based upon whether you're an affordable or a market rate property. And then the other requirement is that the property owner actually has to work with a participating pilot rater or contractor in the program. Such as that for those of you that are in the Whole House Single Family program, to participate you must actually be a participating rater or contractor. It will be the same for the pilot program here for the multifamily, and that if a property owner wants to participate and submit their building for the pilot program, they must work with participating raters and contractors. The rater and contractor and field quality assurance is the property owner must give these individuals access to all units for installation and quality assurance purposes, and that any combustion appliance safety issues that are found during test-in or as we're working through the scope of work and the construction must be they're identified, and if they're identified early when the scope of work is being written, they must be remediated prior to the issuance of the assessment rebate. So any kind of CAS safety zones or health and safety zones that are found in the units when we're working through, when a rater is actually working with a property owner in the building, those must be remediated during the pilot program. And then the last piece is that buildings that come to and get accepted into the pilot, the direction and the requirement is that the construction work must be completed by December 2013, which may limit some property owners just due to the financing constraints. PG&E multifamily does cover in-unit upgrades, common area upgrades, and central system upgrades. Again, this is a whole building approach. They're looking to understand what's happening in different parts of the building. They're also looking at understanding how do the building owner themselves make choices according to what's happening, according to with financing, rebating, and according to actually the energy efficiencies they wish to achieve. The pilot program itself does not cover new construction. It does not cover mixed use, so mixed use may be allowed in 2014, but for the pilot they are not allowed. It doesn't cover water efficiency. There is no solar rebate in this, and any energy efficiency measures that cannot be modeled are not allowed in the pilot. And then any single direct measures that are installed by other programs. And so if you're accessing a single rebate in another program, your baseline gets established, and so you would, in this pilot, you would have to model for whatever the current condition is. The pilot is, we're not accessing single rebates, and then the pilot program, there's no double dipping for this rebate process for the pilot program. We will be using energy software, Energy Pro, 3 or fewer low-rise buildings, 3 or fewer floors is the res performance module. The high-rise is the non-res module. Installation measure specifications will be provided to you when your building is picked, and Build It Green will be, PG&E via Build It Green will be providing energy modeling mentoring for those of you that are participating raters and contractors and that are working on a building in the pilot program. The pilot program actually has 2 incentives. The incentive structure is actually broken into an assessment incentive for the property owner, and this incentive covers a portion or all of the costs, at minimum a portion, of the test-in, scope of work, and any CAS mitigations that are required found in the building at test-in. It's intended to address the cost of a comprehensive assessment. We are requiring ASHRAE Level 2 assessments, which does take quite a bit of rater time, and so the assessment incentive is to actually be paid to the property owner to help facilitate their out-of-pocket costs in the pilot. And then it's also intended to educate the property owner on the whole building approach. Plus the incentive itself, just like with our other programs, cannot exceed the overall cost of the assessment. So we'll talk about the dollar amounts for the incentive in just a moment. The post-construction incentive, after construction, after the installation of the energy efficiency measures, is on a per unit basis. And the incentive is actually increasing. As you increase your energy efficiency gains in the building, your level of incentive also actually increases. And then it's designed to encourage whole building upgrades for both the common areas as well as the individual units. So the incentive structure, the assessment structure, which is the first for the ASHRAE Level 2 report, the assessment incentive structure is actually both market rate or affordable, and it's based on number of units. So as you see on this slide, if you happen to do 101 units, then you would get if you were a market rate, you would get the $5,000 assessment incentive, plus you would get another $10 for the 101th unit. It's incremental after the 100th units. The post-construction incentive structure, it's on modeled savings at Energy Pro, 10% to less than 15%, $600 per unit, and increases incrementally as you get additional savings and increased energy efficiency. So if you're a rater or a contractor, how do you actually participate in this program? So the benefits of participation is to actually help you deepen your expertise with multifamily buildings. We do understand that the individuals or the market out there for individuals that have this deep level of experience is a small market, and so this is an opportunity for you to actually participate in the pilot and to deepen your experience of working through a building, working through a scope of work. There will be quite a bit of hands-on training and one-on-one training if your building is picked for the program, and with both the rater and the contractor. This pilot is also to help you develop whole building scopes of work for multifamily projects and not just access to single rebates, to allow you to expand your service offerings and at larger jobs, more units, larger budgets, helps you establish a new client base. We have some firms that are participating in the single family, that are actually been providing multifamily energy efficiency for their existing client base. This now allows them to bring an incentive rebate structure to that client base. And then to help you actually access a range of incentives and financing, especially with having the SPOC and being able to access the different types of rebates to PG&E. And then it's also the best benefit of ALF for us is the early mentoring and your opportunity to sit at the table and help us shape this program for 2014. So if you're a rater, here are the actual minimum qualifications. So depending on if you're actually doing the modeling or you're doing the ASHRAE Level 2 assessment or if you're doing the compliance of safety, please refer back to this. It's also actually listed on our website. These are the requirements. This is a pilot program for multifamily with a very high level of expertise required to participate. It is our intent to get deep experience with the multifamily raters and contractors to use that experience to help inform the program and help us understanding about the training and the mentoring and what works and what can be refined for next year. If you're a contractor, you're coming to the pilot program, these are the minimum qualifications of the contractor. At minimum, if you are, you must have the required license that will allow you to actually perform that scope of work. So you cannot have a HVAC license and actually do the plumbing or something else. You must be, in order to perform the energy efficiency installation, you must have the required license to participate as a contractor in the multifamily pilot. So there's actually multiple ways of participating. So let's talk about if you're new to the program and you're not an EUC whole house single family rater. Your steps are to submit the qualification documents. We'll have a website where you can go do that. You need to be screened and pass the application process. Again, we look for the minimum qualifications, and if you do not qualify, we ask that during the course of 2013 you actually go if you want to participate, go get those requirements so that when we unfold the full program in 2014 that you have the opportunity to participate then or actually get enrolled in early fall and then actually participate come the 2014 in the full program rollout. So there's multiple ways of if you don't make it, if you do not have the full qualifications this time, we're giving you the list of qualifications so that you have the time to actually go get that and be ready for the program in 2014. Nope. The next step after that is to participate in a 5-day training. In February, when we unrolled the program, we held a CAMFEB training, which is California's existing multifamily building training. We will have an additional training, which is later this year. That's why if you've missed that training, if you have the qualifications, you have a minimum of a couple different kinds of qualifications of ways of getting into this program. So if you missed it, you can actually go out and take that training publicly, or you can wait till late fall and actually access that training again and start in 2014. We had almost 50 individuals in our February training come to the table to participate and pass that, and we expect to have that kind of excitement and request again come fall. The next step is to attend an orientation webinar, which is what you're on right now, so you get to check that off your list. And then the last is to agree to provide feedback and participate in the focus groups. This is a take the lessons learned and best practices and roll it into the program, so this is your opportunity to communicate what you're learning in the field. And as far as the screening and application process, if you were to submit the documents and you did not qualify, you would actually at the very first step, if you didn't meet the qualifications, EGIA will let you know that you don't meet them and how you could go about doing that in the course of 2013 so that you could participate next year. If you're an active EUC rater in the whole house programmer, you have already gone through this process quite a bit. You've already have your participation agreements and your documents in place. You've been background checked with EGIA, and so you're going to sign one document, which is called the Multifamily Pilot Rater Addendum. You must be properly credentialed for the particular scope of work, which means that if you're a rater, you must meet those rater qualifications. Being a rater in the single family, if you don't have multifamily experience, will not guarantee you access into this pilot program. You must also participate in the 5-day training, which was in February and which will come up again this year. Attend this orientation webinar and agree to provide feedback. Now, if you're a new contractor to the program, there's a couple different steps, and it's the same kind of documentation. You provide your licenses and your certifications and your insurances. You must pass the screening and application process like everyone else. Attend this orientation webinar. But as a contractor, whether new or existing, you actually work with a participating rater in this program. So you have to agree to work with a participating rater and then provide feedback to the program. If you're an active EUC contractor, you get to sign the Multifamily Pilot Contractor Addendum. You must be property licensed, attend the orientation webinar, agree to work with a participating rater, and agree to provide feedback to the pilot program. So what are the knowledge requirements? This is a pilot program with just 500 units. And so the participating rater and contractor, we would like them to be well-versed in evaluating multifamily buildings and developing the appropriate scope of work. This is a whole building pilot. This is not a single rebate. And so the depth of knowledge of how do you move through a building, depending on what the property owner wishes to do, if they wish to do envelope, if they wish to do different types of services in their building, and that depth of knowledge and experience of the complexity of being in a multifamily building and how the structure of the building actually impacts depending on what kind of energy efficiency measures you're going to install. You must be proficient in energy modeling, Energy Pro software, the res and non-res. You must understand compliance of combustion appliance safety testing. We want you to verify the quality of completed work. Especially for the rater, you will be doing field verification. And we want you to provide excellent customer service, which PG&E ranks right at the top of their goals. So if you're a contractor and you want to apply, what is the application and screening process that we talked about earlier? You actually submit the enrollment documents, or you sign the addendum if you're an existing EUC. You have insurance and bonding requirements. The insurance requirements are actually a little bit higher for the multifamily because the scope of work and the construction costs are higher in a retrofit for a multifamily building rather than a single family. You must provide copy of contractor's licenses, be in business for 2 years, and also have the correct registration numbers and the sales personnel. So how to participate, the key terms. This information is actually in the participation agreement. When you sign the agreement or the addendum, you agree to assure that all work is performed in a safe and professional manner, that you're going to adhere to the combustion appliance safety test procedures and protocols, that you're going to abide by all the procedures and protocols and the program standards with PG&E, that you're going to provide excellent customer service, comply with the license and certification requirements over the term of that you're in the program, provide feedback, and then any other terms that get defined in the participant handbook that is expanded out during this year. So how do you enroll? You can go to builditgreenutility.org, initiate program enrollment. In the next few days, we're going to also have EGIA's website up, and so you can actually go to Build It Green Utility, and we're going to have a click this button here to enroll, and you'll be able to electronically enroll in the program that's coming in the next couple of days. So how do you submit, how do you process a job and actually submit for a rebate? So PG&E, this is unique to the multifamily pilot, is going to have a single point of contact. Her name is Karen Contreras. Her contact information is at the end of this presentation. And her role and responsibility is to actually work with the owner to decide which incentive programs best meet the goals and budgets. So the rater is at the table at this time also in the conversation. As the rater is helping put together the scope of work, the dialogue is occurring with a single point of contact about what the property owner wishes to achieve in their energy retrofits, what the rater believes is possible and helps guide and create in the scope of work for the property owner, and Karen's depth of knowledge of PG&E's programs and what's appropriate what serves the property owner best, and the timing and the steps to be able to actually access if there's multiple rebates. Karen's responsibility is to actually help connect the owner with the financing programs, because we understand that for some of these scopes of work, the financing will be necessitated to achieve the deep level of energy efficiencies. Karen will help assist the owner through the enrollment and the construction and quality assurance, as well as Build It Green. Build It Green will provide a lot of in-the-field and on-site background and training and mentoring. And Karen will also help the owner access the appropriate incentives upon the completion of work. She will help us make sure that the incentives get paid, and she's to work with all parties in case there are any concerns or complaints. So if you're an interested property owner who happens to be listening in on this call, the projects for the pilot will be selected by PG&E, and we had stated that we want actually a diverse set of building types and configurations so that we can test the assumptions prior to the 2014 rollout. The projects themselves will be by, oh, that's a duplicate. Property owners will be notified if their project is eligible for the pilot after the phone screen. So there are a couple of qualification steps for a property owner at the beginning. One is a very simple interest form that allows us to contact and walk through some questions to see if the building should move forward. Then there's an additional phone screen that occurs with Build It Green and Karen, the single point of contact, that gets to the level of detail to ascertain is this a project for the pilot and the correct scope of work at a high level. So if you're a rater on this call and you're interested in participating, the role of the rater would be to actually complete the test and assessment to determine the current conditions, select and model using Energy Pro, recommend and work with the scope, identify the scope of work with the building owner, work with the SPOC to actually identify the correct scope of work based upon the property owner's needs and the ability to access the rebates, and then to conduct a test out assessment and create a final report to confirm the energy savings and then get to access the rebate amount. So if you're a participating contractor, the contractor will actually review the scope of work. They're responsible for installing the energy efficiency measures. They may work with the rater in helping develop this scope of work. And then the subcontractors, there is a requirement for the pilot program and also for the current EUC programs that any subcontractors or contractors that install energy efficiency improvements under the scope of work must be participating contractors. So if a property owner actually wishes to bring a specific contractor to the table, that contractor will actually be required to enroll and become a participating contractor in order for the property owner to access the incentives under this program. Any new contractors who wish to participate must pass all the requirements, the screening and hold the licenses like we talked about earlier. So the job application process itself, here's a very simplified version. This is for the assessment phase. The property owner submits a form. The single point of contact and Build It Green actually conduct a phone interview. Then the property owner picks a rater, or if the rater brings the property owner to the table, then the property owner works with that rater, and the rater conducts an ASHRAE Level 2 assessment, including test-in to actually generate the report. And we actually have a template we'll provide with the raters and walk the chosen participating raters through that template. And the report will include at minimum the scope of work, CAS testing, and Energy Pro, plus additional information that PG&E wishes to collect over the course of the pilot program. Build It Green will then conduct a quality assurance, or what we call desktop review, of the report, and then the rater submits a request to pay the assessment incentive. On behalf of the property owner, we issue a notice to proceed, and PG&E writes a check that pays the assessment incentive. For this pilot program, the property owner may sign over the actual PG&E check to the rater to pay the rater if they wish. So the installation phase, phase 2 of this. The participating rater actually will review the scope of work, because after, when the notice to proceed occurs, there will be a very, this is the check-in to make sure that the scope of work is on target and that the property owner has the financing lined up and that actually the contractors are identified and they're approved and participating and everything is ready to move forward. The contractor actually installs, participating contractor installs the energy efficiency improvements. Okay. And then the rater performs the test out and quality control to verify 100% of the installed measures and confirms that the safety issues, anything found in test-in or during the scope of work walkthrough, is actually appropriately addressed and dealt with for the tenant safety and the property owner safety. Build a Green will perform a sampled quality assurance. The rater then submits the post-construction incentive request and PG&E pays that incentive, which may also be signed over to the contractor or the rater. So the mentoring and quality assurance. So the quality assurance and safety is actually aligned with BPI and with HERS 1 and 2. It actually will leverage the HERC protocols, which if you don't know what the HERC protocols are, please type in multifamily HERC. They're available on the web. We're going to use their audit and combustion safety protocols. The pilot program will require test-in and test-out combustion of plant safety testing by the rater. Pre- and post-installation, desktop review by Build a Green. Mitigations or any kind of hazardous materials that are found, mold, lead, are required under this program. Build a Green will provide quite a bit of mentoring in the field and energy model and mentoring. Because this is a very small pilot, Build It Green will provide a lot of one-on-one mentoring with the rater and some with the contractor and some with the property owner. The raters that get chosen, their buildings to work in the pilot program, we will be walking through with you on your first scope of work. We'll be with you when you're doing some test-in. And we will be with you when you're doing your test-out assessments, especially on the first project that you move through the pilot program. And then the in-field inspections will be provided by Build a Green and PG&E. So the field verification, the rater will conduct a visual survey, assess that the measures that are new are actually installed, compare the quality of the measures that are installed with the scope of work and the expectation of the quality that's expected under this pilot program. To retest as necessary, cast testing, duct testing. The rater will review the Energy Pro model, validate the test out results, and then prepare a quality assurance report that actually includes best practices. Again, the intent of one of the key participations is the feedback loop, and so the additional piece here for the raters will be to actually list best practices or what they're learning so as to inform the program for 2014 full rollout. Health and safety. So comprehensive safety is a program requirement. It's also a PG&E requirement. You're to comply with all BPI health and safety standards, comply with all OSHA equipment safety standards. You're to perform the combustion of plant safety tests per program guidelines, and you are to mitigate and remediate any hazardous materials discovered during the life of the project for the safety of the tenants and yourself. Combustion appliance safety testing, these are the reference standards that we'll be using. We're going to be using the core BPI CAS standards. We are going to also augment with NGAP protocols, and we are also going to be using the Whole House Action Guidelines, which is the CAS Action Guidelines checklist. Will contain additional test procedures. There will be some refinement of this during the pilot program so that the protocols and the testing standards will be clear and be able to be refined and rolled out in 2014. So hazardous materials, any potential hazardous materials must be mitigated. So you may find mercury, lead-based paint, asbestos, PCBs, and other hazardous materials. So your contact information. So for program support and technical support, we are the PG&E's program implementer. You would contact Build It Green at multifamily at buildatgreenutility.org, or extension 610 in our new office. If you want to chat with Karen, who is PG&E's single point of contact for the multifamily program, her contact information, her email, and her telephone number are here. So additional resources, here is the Build a Green Utility, how you can actually enroll in the program. For if you are actually a contractor or a rater that has property owners who are you're interested in bringing to the program, Build a Green Utility, there's an interest form that's listed, or you can call us and we'll email you one to start the property owner into the pilot program. So now it's time for questions. I'm going to ask Melina to unmute the participants, and you want to so it's an opportunity for all of you to ask questions where we might have not answered or touched on something in our presentation. So now questions at the time. Hopefully we've done a very a good overall presentation to give you a feel for the pilot program. For those of you that attended, actually registered and attended, we will be emailing you a copy of the PowerPoint presentation, as well as giving you the email link to the access to the audio recording should you want to listen to that. If you have a question after we end the webinar, and you thought of something, or you just want to contact us, please feel free to email or contact us. And if you, when we send you out the presentation and such, and you review it and you find something a question that you want to ask, happily please email us back, and we will both email you back, and then we're going to actually create a FAQ document, or frequently asked questions document, which we will actually be posting on our website. And you'll be able to get additional answers to questions that are being asked from different participants. So questions?
Yeah, so we do have a few questions that have been submitted. When will the slides be available and where?
This is actually a copy of a current presentation that's on the website now. So we do have www.buildagreenutility.org, and you can type in webinars. We did host this webinar a few weeks ago. And this is the exact same presentation. And then we will actually be posting this presentation again under our webinars with the audio recording. So it takes us a few hours to a day to actually get the audio done. And then we both email you, and then we also actually post it on our website. And you can actually access it there, and there'll be a PDF copy that you can actually download and review.
Great. The next question is, does commercial multifamily building qualify for this program? Example, a 5-unit apartment building with 1 owner.
So when you say commercial, if it has any mixed-use component or office component, then the answer is no. It needs to be a residential multifamily building, 5 units or more, to be in the pilot program. There's no mixed-use a commercial piece at any point in this program. So, but affordable or market rate, both of those will be accepted into the program at this time. We actually would like a mix of both because they have different needs.
Great. The next question is regarding the variety of multifamily projects that we want to see for the pilot. How many units of low-rise residential do you expect to approve?
We expect to have 1 or 2 maybe high-rise. I'm going to go around it backwards. Maybe 1 or 2 high-rise projects at the most, and then the majority of the projects actually be low-rise, because that's the construction type of construction out here quite a bit in California. We also expect to actually have a diversity of projects. So it's less about low-rise and high-rise, and more about the different types of buildings that come to the table and our understanding of how do you actually move through that building. how do you model it? The modeling is different on the different types of buildings, and then how do you, we're actually also looking for different types of, what would I say, appliances. Central HVAC versus individual units versus different different designs of the building itself, so that we can really get the broadest array of walking through the different pilots. So we're currently in the property owner outreach program, which will happen for the next few weeks to next month or so, and then we're going to be picking programs. It's actually going to happen pretty fast because 500 units is actually a very small number, and so we're not looking for one, two 250-unit buildings. That doesn't give us the diversity that we're looking at. So depending on the number of property owners that come to the table and their ability to actually to do the construction very quickly, that's another component. We may end up with 50 property owners at the table, but maybe only 10 of them can actually finance and get the construction completed by the end of the year. So there's multiple layers and components to this actual picking of the pilot projects.
Great. That does it for the questions that have been submitted so far. For those of you on the line, please feel free to continue submitting your questions, and we'll answer them as they come in.
So there are a couple other, we've had a couple of frequently asked questions that have come out in the last webinar. One of the questions is can a contractor or a rater actually perform both scopes of work? If a contractor comes to the table and actually has the necessary requirements. So the answer for the pilot is yes. If you meet the necessary qualifications and requirements under the rater path, then you would apply as a rater. And if you meet the necessary requirements for the contractor, you would apply for the contractor. So you have all the insurance requirements, the experience requirements, the necessary licenses, the necessary certifications. And so, yes, we fully expect a few individuals out there. We've actually had conversations with a few individuals who actually have the qualifications for both. We know that BPI and the other certifications have very clear expectations and ethics standards. So for the pilot, we're allowing a rater to actually perform scopes of work if they have the necessary license and skill. And then we will look at that during the life of the pilot for the next year and make a determination if that continues in 2014.
Great. So no questions have yet been submitted. For those on the phone, please submit your questions and we'll answer them as they come in.
The other piece of information for those of you on the call who potentially might have a building owner that you bring to the table. This is a rater and contractor-driven program. So raters and contractors can bring projects to the table. For the pilot, PG&E is going to help pick the projects because they're looking for that diversity of building types and structures. But for the full rollout in 2014, if you brought a building to the table, you would be able to roll it right into the program. And our assumption is if you were in a rater and you brought the building, the property owner actually picks the rater. So we cannot force the property owner to pick you, but our assumption is if you bring the property owner to the table, you have a relationship with them and that you would do the work and you would have the contract. As long as you're a participating rater in that program and you're bringing buildings, then you stay connected to that building and work through and do that scope of work. If a property owner comes to the table, which we already have a few. We have some affordable organizations in the Bay Area that have already contacted us with a suite of buildings, and they actually do not have raters or contractors in their stable, and so we will actually post and provide a list of participating raters and contractors to those individual property owners who don't have a specific rater and allow them to pick that individual with that scope of work. And then the rater and or contractor, but the rater would walk that property owner through the process and sit at the table and help them develop that scope of work. So just like we do with the single-family whole house program, we currently have a rater directory listed of everybody who's approved for the whole house single-family program. We'll do the same thing for this program.
Great, thank you, Susan. We did have a question come in. Does the pilot program only apply to Alameda County as shown on the EUC website?
This is actually PG&E's pilot program. There's also other pilot programs that are out there, all right, that have just been rolled out. And so I know that there's Sonoma and Alameda programs, okay, which are under a different implementer. Those are very new pilot programs. There's also going to be multifamily under the BayREN, which is the the ABAG territory, ABAG and all those, what is it, 9 counties, and then the PG&E territory. So if you bring a property to the table and it happens to be under one of those other programs and not under this pilot program, we will actually refer you to that other implementer so that your property owner can actually access that rebate structure that way. So there's going to be close collaboration among the different organizations to allow you as a contractor or a rater to actually make sure you get access to the correct program. And as far as the the BayREN multifamily, I know that the implementer has not been chosen yet. The request has gone out publicly, and I think it closed last week, or maybe no, it's actually closed Monday. So we do not know who that implementer is at this time. That program has not been established at this time.
Great. The next question is, will there be new participants now or until 2014 other than the 55 who were part of the February training? The
answer is yes. Okay. There's 2 parts to this. One is because the pilot program is not thousands and thousands of units, it's only 500 units. We do not expect the number of raters to be extensive. Your building may get chosen, and then you work on that pilot program. And when your building is chosen and you're the participating rater for that, you're going to get extensive hands-on training, scope of work training in the field, audit, test in, test out, quite a bit of one-on-one time. That's what the pilot program is designed to. Our intent is that while Build It Green and PG&E is spending that time, we're actually refining the protocols and the handbook and the procedures in place and getting feedback. That the additional raters and contractors that continue to come into the program, that we're establishing them, providing them with feedback and information, and setting them up for access to the program in 2014. So if by some chance of fate you're a rater who came to the table and your property did not get picked, or you're on the list and you didn't get picked by a property owner, you still have the opportunity to access some of the trainings that we're going to have during the course of the year. You have the opportunity to take the CAMFAB training in late fall, and also the ability to get let's say you meet one of the 2 qualifications, you have the ability this year to go get that second qualification and come into the program. When we unfold in early 2014, it will be a program where you bring the building to the table, or property owner comes to the table and picks you, and you're moving right through the program. And so we'll have the protocols established, the training in place, the necessary documents and audit templates in place, and so you will actually benefit. If you didn't get picked in the beginning of this year, you will actually benefit from all the lessons learned, so that you'll have all those documents and handbooks and protocols in place when you walk into the program. We also intend this summer, after the pilot projects are actually picked, we understand that there may be some of you that don't get picked, and so the piece that's the next step for the program this summer is actually to work with all of you, with your property owners. Let's say you brought a building to the table and the building did not get chosen. We want to actually access Fox package of rebates. So if you brought in a 40-unit, that's a small, but let's say you brought in a 75-unit affordable apartment building, there are additional rebates you actually can access through PG&E, and so we would help you access with FOC those additional rebates, and then come early 2014, you would finish those rebates with that property owner and then move them right into the whole building multifamily program. In 2014, this multifamily program will no longer be a pilot, and so you would access some of the PG&E rebates now with the intent of rolling that building into the program in 2014.
Great, thank you, Susan. That does it for questions. Unless there are more, to all those on the line, please feel free to type in your last-minute questions. We'll do our best to answer them before we end the webinar.
So for those of you who are currently in the program, EUC single-family program, EGIA will have the multifamily addendum for you to sign, and you sign that one document. Make sure they will check to make sure you meet the qualifications, and then you can move forward right into the program. For those of you that are new, please, we will be emailing you, since we have your email address from this GoToWebinar, we will be emailing you a copy of the presentation. Please unfold and take a look at the qualifications that are in there, or you can go to www.builditgreenutility.org and look at the qualifications that are listed on the website. And if it's not clear, please feel free to call us and ask for customer service, extension 610, and we will walk you through the necessary requirements. So hopefully it's very clear for you, makes it easy for you, and that will allow you to access and come into the program as a rater or contractor. So no more questions at this time. We want to thank you for spending an hour of your afternoon with us on a Wednesday, and hopefully we will see each and every one of your names come into the program, your application, your submittal processes, and again, please feel free to pick up the phone and call us or email us. We'll be happy to answer any question that you have. All right. Again, it's Susan Davison from Build It Green, and it's been my pleasure to spend an hour with you today. Thank you. Good day.